Next up here on the Fantasy Flex is our elite entries segment where we will dive into the prize picks app to build some entries. I'm going to identify some markets I like, you build your own prize picks entries, and all of us have a little fun and make some money. So today we are going to look at Thursday night plays for week 5 on prize picks as the Rams go on the road to Seattle to try to bounce back from their first loss. I am we've already talked about this game now ad nauseum, but I'm very excited about it. I think it's an exciting fantasy game because I don't think that Seattle's defense gets a lot of flack, but the Rams defense hasn't looked too much better either. So I think there's going to be a lot of points. So I'll just preface this by saying that all of these props are all Rams props and they're all overs. So
let's go all in on the Rams.
Let's go. I know. All right. So the first one I like is Matt Stafford over 299.5 passing yards. I know that's a huge number, but Seattle's defense ranks 5th worst in the NFL in terms of passing yards allowed per game at 292.5. They have faced good teams so far, the Colts, Titans, Vikings, and 49ers, but the Rams will be their best offense and certainly best quarterback they've faced all year. Stafford's averaging 305.5 passing yards per game this year going against much tougher defenses. He's faced the Bears, Colts, Bucks, and Cardinals. His entire arsenal of weapons is healthy. I can definitely see him blowing the doors off of Seattle and passing for over 300 yards. Do you think that is too rich for your blood?
Definitely not too rich. I think Stafford's going to have a big game. So I definitely would want, all in on Rams overs. Stafford is a good place to start. I think that he's still kind of in the fringe MVP race, even despite last week's game. So this should be a good spot for him to get some numbers.
He remains the most underrated quarterback in the NFL for me. So wow. Definitely a good get right situation for him after a somewhat off game. So next play I like is Cooper Kupp over 84.5 receiving yards. This could be 100, and I'm probably not 100, but the Kupp Stafford connection has been ridiculous this season. It seemed like for a while that Kupp was the only receiver, only pass catcher on the whole field. He has been averaging a whopping 11.5 targets per game. Sort of slow game against the Cardinals, but they just seem to not be able to get anything working. He caught 5 of 13, which is terrible, for 64 yards, 0 touchdowns, but he had scored 5 times in the previous 3 weeks. I think he's gone well over this number in 3 of 4 games this year. I definitely see him doing it against this pass defense. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen against the Seahawks.
Yeah. And I think part of the strategy here is you want to stack things together that if one happens, the other one does too. So if Stafford has a big game, you better believe Kupp's going to be getting some of those catches too. So, he definitely locks onto him. He missed Kupp for 2 or 3 passes last week that normally he'd connect with. Overthrew Kupp on what should have been a touchdown, what was a touchdown all the other weeks. So I think if you're wanting to trade for Kupp, this is your window. You may not get too many more windows, but I love the over here.
Awesome. The next one that I like is Darrell Henderson over 14.5 fantasy points. Just keep in mind, this is full PPR. So I think that is important, especially since Henderson has been more involved in the passing game than I think previously. So Seattle ranks dead last in rushing yards allowed per game with 152 yards. Bodes well for all the Rams running backs. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about how they're going to use Sony Michel with Henderson, but Henderson has had a quietly good season. He scored in both of the first games, missed week 3, then came back and posted 14 carries for 89 yards, plus 5 catches for 27 yards. Seattle's allowing the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. So I really like him to go over the 14.5. I know you don't like this one as much.
Well, I think what you like about Henderson is that Sony Michel had that really tough fumble last week. It was the first play of the drive. Seattle had just scored a touchdown. Arizona had just scored a touchdown. And so then they get the ball back, hand it off to Michel off of a touchback, and then he immediately fumbles. And then we did not see a lot of him again after that. And Cardinals scored again and kind of put that one away. So it's a good spot to fade Sony Michel because he's probably in the doghouse. And so it's a good chance for Henderson to get a few extra touches.
I love it. All right. The last one that I like is Tyler Higbee over 3.5 catches. Yeah, I know. Like I said, it's another Rams over, but Higbee has actually played a pretty significant role in this offense. I think Matt Stafford likes his tight ends. He's had one game that was pretty bad. It was 1 catch against the Colts. But he's had at least 4 catches in every other game this year. So I think that he's just a guy that Stafford feels comfortable throwing to. He's not Cooper Kupp, but who could be Cooper Kupp for him? But I think that Stafford does spread it around. There's a lot of throwing. It's a high volume passing offense. So I do like him to get at least 4 catches.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp is like the emoji with the hard eyes over the top of it. But I think Higbee is a solid smiling emoji. Again, if we're gonna stack the Rams, if Stafford's gonna have a big game and throw it around a lot, Higbee should be getting a few catches. So if you're going in, go all in. So we're all in on the Rams. Let's take the overs. Let's run up the score.
Love it. All right. So we are all in. That is it for our elite entry for Thursday Night Football, going with Matt Stafford over 299.5 passing yards, Cooper Kupp over 84.5 receiving yards, Darrell Henderson over 14.5 fantasy points, and Tyler Higbee over 3.5 catches. As a reminder, you can mix and match fantasy points and player props to make your lineups super spicy. Also, PrizePicks markets move, so you will want to be nimble to lock in the best numbers. If you have not created a PrizePicks account yet, please check out the link in our episode description because PrizePicks has a special offer for Fantasy Flex listeners. They will match your first deposit up to $100. Just click the link in our episode description or visit prizepicks.com and use promo code ACTION10.